Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance, your home on the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network for any and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, as always, Katie. And with me, as per the usual, it's Clay. Clay, how are you doing today?
I am doing exceptionally well. For a day that was supposed to be absolute crap. I had nothing to do at work today. And they were gonna make us transfer old disgusting carpet tiles. Yeah,
Oh,
it was going to be gross, but then we actually got a call and they were like, "Hey, we need this stuff transferred here." And so I got to spend almost all day in the car, in the company truck, and just sidestepped that disgusting carpet that we've been avoiding for the past like 4 months. Like they want it to get done, but we keep avoiding it. But yeah, that was good. If everybody doesn't know the topic of today, of course you must have because you clicked on this podcast. But been listening to The Power of Two literally all day. Like I told you, I wanted to get it ingrained into my brain so that way when we actually have this conversation, I know what I'm talking about. So did that, and well, the only negative thing, Amberlynn is in a little bit of a mood. Like everything is pissing her off. Me dancing pissed her off. Me playing peekaboo pissed her off. Her favorite TV shows pissing her off. Food pissing her off. Like there is literally nothing we have been able to do to like make her happy. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm up for the night. Abby, good luck. Love you. I will treat you to like some ice cream or something for dealing with her, but I gotta go. So I ran in here. So yeah. Other than that, it's been a pretty good day. What about yourself?
It's been good. Today is my last day of maternity leave, so I'm in my feels a little bit.
Wah, wah, wah.
I gotta go back to work tomorrow, so it's gonna be interesting to see because I got 2 days, and then construction starts back on my house next week to fix the damages. So I'm going back to my mom's for all of next week. So I'm gonna be by myself with the baby. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
I will say, I was only allowed a week and a half of maternity leave when Amberlynn was born, and that first day back, I did everything I could to get off early. It just like it felt like I feel bad for like leaving Abby home alone, and but
it's been good because Matt and I both work from home, so
yeah,
it's like
I think which is a great thing because you'll actually be able to spend time with her every day, for swapping off and everything else. So I think that's very, very cool.
So we'll see what happens, but y'all pray for me. I will be an anxious wreck, I promise. All right. Okay, so Clay, tell us what news we have to talk about.
Yes, so we actually have quite a bit of news, which has been, well, granted, I will say this. It has been somewhat normal for the fact that we've been, of course, reviewing the Acolyte for about, 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah.
So that's why there wasn't a whole lot of news recently. And I apologize if you can hear Amberlynn right now. She's screaming her head off and knocking on the door. So starting off the news, I think the biggest thing is, well, you know what? This isn't on the list technically, but I want to talk about the elephant in the room because it does coincide with our main topic. The hashtag renew the Acolyte.
Yes.
I want to talk about this because you brought up a really good point. And I technically, when it comes to our our Star Wars Alliance, chat, this actually did come up first, because you and Snell started to talk about it, and I don't think I really joined in. I was kind of just reading because I was working. But there is a lot of worry about the Acolyte. And when I say worry, and I say a lot, I see it sporadically. And it's the reasoning is there hasn't been a huge announcement of the Acolyte is getting a season 2, right? And we talked about how a lot of other things, not just Star Wars, but a lot of other things usually get that season 2 announcement like a week after or something to really hype up the fans and everything else. But you made a good point in saying, look at Ahsoka. Ahsoka didn't get one immediately after. And so there's a lot of people like that are panicking. They're like, if you don't renew Acolyte, blah, blah, blah.
See, but this is the audience that Leslie is specifically tackling with the Acolyte. She stated, I wanted to hit the young women of the fandom as the main audience for this show because they are always left to second place. And you are in the midst right now of the romantasy fans. And that's exactly who the Acolyte applies to, is the romantasy fans. The, ooh, she's gonna date the bad boy. Ooh, they're gonna fall in love. Like, this is who you're talking to. And this is the latch on, grab, and take hold of. Remember, like, all the fan fictions and stuff? So the audience, it makes sense for. Like, this is not like the boys of Star Wars, like, doing this. This is people who are very used to, hey, when is the next book coming out? Like, I need to know when the next book's coming out ASAP. So it's an impatient fandom is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So if they didn't expect this, I don't know what they did expect. Because that's just what it is.
And I'm okay with waiting. I was talking to a coworker of mine today, and I was like, well, Deadpool comes out tonight. And that's basically all I have to really worry about until I don't know when. And it gives us time to breathe. It gives you time to put on the tinfoil hats for, you know, all of these other things that you want in the Star Wars fandom, in the Acolyte, in the books, and all this stuff. It gets the discussion going. And I genuinely think this is what they want. They want to see how many people really want that season 2. They want to see the calls for it. They want to. Leslie wants to show Lucasfilm, Disney, and Star Wars, hey, look, like we're kind of holding on, and look what's happening. This is a good thing in some capacity. Again, it could just splatter all over my face at the end of the day, and boom, we don't have a season 2, which would suck. But this is a good marketing strategy in some capacity or another. And you said, hey, there's other things coming along within the year where it would be a good idea to be like, hey, we're going to go ahead and announce it now. Yeah. And that goes for books and everything else within Star Wars. So it's not just the Acolyte that we're worried about, but it was something that I wanted to bring up with the renew the Acolyte hashtag. Because it was something that was like from the day the finale released to right now, you could look up the hashtag and it's just you would be freaking scrolling for days. It's crazy. And I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah. Speaking of things that could be announced at upcoming things like San Diego Comic-Con or D23.
Yeah.
Furore we talked about Furore last week, but there's also actually another untitled adult Star Wars novel that has a release date of May 6th for Random House Worlds.
So I told you, I put the GIF out there. It was the Steve Carell Office. Fool me once, strike two. Fool me twice, strike three. You know, I still can't believe, like, I told you, this is the Flash of Star Wars novels. I need to see it advertised, cover art, everything, to show me that this is a real thing. Now,
I bet you we're
again,
gonna find out tomorrow. We're gonna find out tomorrow. The
I'm
publishing
sure we
panel's
will.
tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna see something tomorrow. Which, like, is crazy. It's like, holy crap, San Diego Comic-Con is already here. Like
I
that.
know.
I was like, holy crap, that went by so fast. I'm really excited to get more book news. I have fallen so far behind on my Goodreads challenge this year. And I think I may have, like, gotten a little too big brain for what Clay can really handle. And I'm going to blame you, Katie, because you got me into reading. And I was like, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. And then I look at Goodreads and they're like, you're 20 books behind. I'm like,
Hey, how many times do you think I can add the Foot Book by Dr. Seuss?
see, and that's what I want to know. I want to know, how many times can you add a book? Because I think you could only add a book once. But, like, technically, every new Star Wars book I listen, or I read and then listen to. That's reading. I read every Star Wars book that we get twice, if not 3 times. And then, of course, because we are so graciously given the opportunity to, of course, get the advanced copies of both the book itself and the audio version, I listen to it like freaking 6 times because it's the first thing that starts in my car with Bluetooth. And so it's like, it's just over and over and over again. Like, Mark Thompson, I have your voice memorized. It's in my brain every day. But yeah, if Goodreads could allow you to add the same book multiple times, I would be caught up. I would be caught up on my Goodreads challenge. But nonetheless, more publishing news. The really big one being in comics. They have announced some other things. We finally get the answer of what comes after Star Wars 50 and Darth Vader 50. This, we called this, by the way.
Yes.
We called this. We said that it was a long shot because we were starting to lean more towards, hey, they're really diving deep into, like, the prequel era, so maybe we can get some in-between stuff here and there. But our first guess was like, hey, let's take the risk. Let's do this. And that is the fact that we are going post Return of the Jedi on
Damn straight.
Star Wars, the mainline comic. Katie, how do you feel about this?
I'm super excited about this, especially because the main title is done by Alex Segura, who wrote the Poe Dameron novel, which I loved. It was a great book. Super excited about that. But the title for this mainline is The Battle of Jakku, which that gives us our era. Because, and we talked about this in the main chat, but this era basically takes us to about a year. So we're covering another year of Star Wars after Return of the Jedi. So we go Return of the Jedi to Battle of Jakku. About a year and a half. So that gives you kind of where we're at. But this first, it's called a maxi series.
Yes, because you posted something about this. You posted about this later after this announcement, that somebody else mentioned that there's going to be multiple maxi series instead of ongoing titles.
That is so that is what Star Wars Splash Pod said. That Marvel said there will be 3 limited series surrounding the never before told moments of the Galactic Civil War. And
Okay.
Jacob Bosch posted the Amazon description for the trade paperback, which is supposed to be out April 8th of 2025. And it actually has the 3 titles for the maxi series. So we have Battle of Jakku, Insurgency Rising, Battle of Jakku, Republic Under Siege, and Battle of Jakku, Last Stand. So all 3 series are 4 issues, and all 3 say that they are going to be published in 2024. Which is interesting because typically Marvel series run month to month, but this one, and this is again from Star Wars Splash Page Pod, we have it out. Oh, that doesn't say when it's out. The 4 issues for Insurgency Rising are out October 2nd, October 16th, October 30th, and November 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see how this is going to go, because this is a new release schedule for Marvel Comics. I would assume they've already had this going because they have no coordination that's needed for this comic, because right now the only thing that they have is Princess and the Scoundrel and then Aftermath. And like Aftermath and Alphabet Squadron trilogies. So all of those are kind of what you have to coordinate, and those have been out for years.
Yeah.
So you have already had the basis for this. So hopefully we won't see any delays, but it'll be interesting because you've got all of October, and then I assume the second one's going to be November, and the third one's going to be December. So
yeah, very, very exciting things moving forward in Marvel Comics. Right when I am like not huge on reading comics right now, which really sucks. Hopefully this does give like a little revival in me in, of course, reading. Now, I will say this. I will tease some stuff for Star Wars Alliance. We are planning some things, so be on the lookout for that as well. But looking at everything, that is basically it. I don't know if you want to share the one that I believe it was this morning or yesterday that you shared because of the source.
No, I do not. We don't talk about that guy here.
All right, yeah.
That may put us behind on news, but I gotta have some morals.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got to draw the line somewhere, and that's totally fine. But after that, I think that is it for the news.
Correct. Oh, I lost my page that had the lyrics. We are going to transfer to the main topic, which is Victoria Monet's The Power of Two song from Star Wars The Acolyte. So this was the end credit song for episode 7 and episode 8. And I've seen a couple different breakdowns on this. Like I Googled The Power of Two lyrics Star Wars, and the Acolyte Twin Flames song explained pops up on the Mary Sue webpage. So if you're interested in that, you can go read that. But I just have read that because I wanted to try and do this. This is something brand new that I've never tried to do before.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a couple ideas when listening to the song, especially after some episodes had come out. So I was like, this could be fun to talk about. So also the other thing that I wanted to share was we posted on the Twitters looking for feedback on #RenewTheAcolyte. And we did actually get one response from LC Webs XO. She said, I just really think the show stuck the landing, created an incredibly compelling villain and budding evil power couple, and definitely earned a season 2, especially for the new market share it's bringing in. Remember, we talked about the Romantasy Squad. That's exactly what she's talking about. And she said, I've brought so many new fans into the fold with this. And honestly, I brought in my cousin because my cousin got me into reading ACOTAR after Fourth Wing. And I was like, I think you should watch The Acolyte because, like, it doesn't require any background knowledge, first of all. And then two, it's got the evil power couple. And she was like, oh, that totally sounds like something I could be interested in. So she's watched the first couple episodes, but she's a teacher, so she's like starting back. So she'll get
Very
through it
nice.
eventually, but she's watching it. So it's like, so thank you, Elsie, for sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate it. So
Awesome.
the power of two. So the first question I had for you, I think there's a perspective from one of the twins in this song.
I was scratching my brain all day because you say one of the twins, and I 100% believe that is so, because just the way the lyrics read, specifically, there is a lyric in the pre-chorus and the chorus. So the pre-chorus, it says, we so one the same, so all my pain is your pain. I was like, okay. It says, you thought your soul was a necklace. Okay, so clearly talking to somebody. And then the chorus, it says, I feel the shame when they call me your name, and you feel the same when they say you're to blame. So I'm like, okay, let's take a step back. Who is this song? Who is the narrator in this song? Because of the way the show resolves, the season 1 resolves, I will be honest, it was hard to make a final decision on who this perspective is, because there is so many ways it could be May and so many ways that it could be Osha. Because
really? Because
yes.
I think it's only May.
You think it's only May?
Yeah.
See, I think that it's May for the fact that this does scream like all of the like it screams this, it screams the same for both in the sense of like resentment, of anger for the event that transpired on their home planet. And I think the only thing that made me lean a little bit more on May was the lyric. Where was it again? I feel the shame when they call me your name, because who mistakes her for Osha?
She feels shame in that case because Soul kills her mom because he thought she was Osha. She is thinking, oh, if he had known that I was May, he wouldn't have been worried about my safety. And my mom would still be alive. And that's exactly what's happening there. And the can you feel the same when they say you're to blame? That's her talking about Osha getting blamed for Indara's death.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the main lyric that's like, hey, this is why I think it's May. But actually, when you look at it, the whole pre-chorus like actually makes me think more that it's May. So it's while I was tethered to you, you cut it straight to the truth. That was talking about when they were cut apart. When Osha, specifically for me, I think when Osha like decides to tell her truth, and maybe I'm taking this too literally, but like Osha decides to tell her truth to Soul, and they're like, oh, like she thinks, oh, they're going to take me away and I can become a Jedi. And so in that case, May's like trying to like iterate her pain to Osha, and you thought your soul's a necklace that you could wear and take off, that you could rip and break off, that you could trade in the dark. That's her talking about her Osha trying to let go of her past, like her heritage.
I was gonna say it makes more sense of like questioning the oh shoot, I lost the word, coven, questioning the coven,
Yeah.
and not really wanting to become a witch, and like all of these different things, right? So because that one, I was taking it too seriously when I first listened to the song. I was like, okay, you thought your soul was a necklace that you could wear and take off, rip and break off, that you could trade in the dark. I was like, what does that mean? And it's saying like, hey, like, you were brought up in this family, in this coven, and you just wanted to throw us away. You wanted to just leave and not come back to us. But you're mine, is the last line of the pre-chorus. This speaks volumes to the incident with May and the fire, with shutting her into the room, starting the fire, and everything else. So at the end of the chorus says here, I feel the shame when they call me your name. Why work with myself if it's a losing game? This was a very interesting line to me. And again, because I was looking at it both ways, okay, how is it a losing game for May? How is it a losing game for Osha?
For me, I think, and this is where I go back to Leslie stating, well, this is a story about Star Wars villains. They're not meant to win in the end of this. So that's kind of the thing that I kept in mind with this lyric. But like, to me, that's like kind of iterating like, hey, we can't win unless we're together. But unfortunately, they're always going to be apart because they get together at the end, and then Osha kind of realizes, hey, like, we're always going to be tracked. Like, I need training. I need to work on myself. And that's when she's like, okay, May can go, but like, it's them splitting up again. Together, they're more powerful because they're one and the same. But like, they have to be broken apart. So that's kind of what this lyric meant to me.
Well, the outro of this chorus says, I'm at war with myself. It's a losing game. And this, for her, was always a losing battle because Osha, again, wanted to run away, wanted to leave them and everything else. But also, when you look at the grand scheme of the show, who literally loses it all? May. Like, she knows nothing now. She is burdened with now, like, having this lost memory and everything. And this, I'm so interested in this. I said on Twitter after we posted that we were going to be talking about the song that, and I was thinking about this today while listening to the song as well. Modernized music in Star Wars is so interesting to me because, yes, I get it. People, I understand. There is an aesthetic to Star Wars and you want it to stay the same and all of this other stuff. But our first taste of this was the fact that in Star Wars Visions, there was a whole story about how a Jedi ran from Order 66 and started a freaking band.
Yep.
And I think that was cool. Like, that was fun. And so we got a little taste of that. Very small taste, but still, it's there. Not in the main universe of Star Wars, but it's the franchise overall. And in here, we get to talk about this. We get to go in depth, not just with the song, but what it means to the show. Because we know that Victoria Monet specifically spoke with the composer of the show, and I'm willing to bet spoke through these lyrics with Leslie to be like,
Yeah.
hey, like, what are we trying to convey in this song and everything else? So, what people need to understand is music, whether it be instrumental, lyrical, whatever, like, it is literally the one constant throughout history that connects people.
Yep.
This is important, whether it be, everybody obsesses over instrumental soundtracks every single time a new movie comes out. Like, the new stuff is what people should be freaking out about, is what, like, stuff like this. It's like, oh, we get to open up this whole new thing to something that has never done this before.
Yep.
So I like this more so because we were talking about, okay, what does this mean for the show itself? But like, through this message that May is singing or sang, like, we know how the show ends. What is Victoria Monet and Leslie and the composer going to cook up next season? Like, that's what I'm like. I'm stoked for that. I told Abby, I was like, I get to be you for the day. I'm gonna listen to music and I'm gonna talk about it. Of course, she has a podcast about Taylor Swift and everything, so I just want to joke around with that. But I really dig this. I really, really do. The twin flame, and also I want to say, if people don't know where you can immediately listen to this, Disney Music Vivo has the actual quote unquote music video for this. That's how I was listening to it all day. I have not purchased the single yet. I don't know if you actually can or not.
Yes. It is on any music platform. It's on Apple Music. My mom has Apple Music and I'm on her Apple family plan, so that's what I use. So it is available pretty much anywhere. So you were going into the twin flame portion. What did you think about the twin flame? Because that and the thick skin, big scars was like the only things where I was like,
It was a little bit of a brain scratcher, right? Okay, so twin flame. I don't know anything about the terminology exactly, but when I hear flame, I start getting like philosophical and things like that. What does a flame represent? Well, a flame represents chaos and anger. Like, okay, anger. That is something very much, interwoven within this show. The twin flame could mean like May is just as angry as Osha is. They are both twin flames. That's what my brain went to. Now, the one that I couldn't quite get was the thick skin, which is, I can't remember where that was. I think it's the very beginning. Yeah, the very first verse. It says, parts of me will die with you, and I think it's going to be the good parts. That's something we haven't talked about yet. It says, I don't want to feel it all. Thick skin, big scars. I think this is cutting her off. Like, this is May saying, like, I do have thick skin. These scars are going to be even bigger from what just happened at our home planet. And she is becoming that cold person that she's going to need to be to go on her mission to kill these Jedi.
Yeah.
I think that's what that means.
Yeah. That would be my best guess. I think also that could allude with Osha too. This is probably the only verse that I really think could apply from like an Osha perspective, because like she lost her sister and clearly like she feels like none of the good things that she was hoping for joining the Jedi Order in particular could happen because all of that died with May in the fire. So that was me.
So that very first part of the first verse, though, that's something that we completely skipped over.
Mhm.
Parts of me will die with you, and I think it's gonna be the good parts.
Yeah, that's where and the only thing I can think of interpretation wise is from Osha's perspective, because she couldn't get into the Jedi Order because ultimately she harbored too much grief. So all the good things died when May died, in a sense.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea for May?
I'm not entirely sure. Could this be a foreshadowing?
That is what I've also thought.
Because it says parts of me will die with you. So it's like, who's dying?
That's also the question, because I'm going to go ahead and move the banner to the future breakdown, because I feel like we talked about season 1 all through. But I feel like if they were the same person, wouldn't that mean that like maybe May's soul would line back up into Osha?
Well, remember, that was one of the questions that we talked about in the finale. I know for a fact that I did talk about it with Georgie and with Adrian. This idea that if they are one and the same, what happens if one of them dies? My theory, of course, makes things a little complicated when I was like, oh, they are both Anastasia, and her life essence went into them, but she's dead, but nothing happened to them. So does death really do anything to one or the other, other than killing them? So this is going to be a very interesting question, because of course these two are assumingly not immortal, because of course they have never been in any future Star Wars content. They will eventually die. And I still think that's a very interesting story to tell, because we ultimately look at Osha, her path into the dark side, her inevitable meeting of Plagueis, and how that all snowballs into Palpatine wanting to become immortalized himself, right?
Yeah.
And I genuinely think that ends very poorly for Osha.
Yes, it's got to.
It has to. But I also have not really thought of the perspective of May. May seemingly is, quote unquote, okay. Now, does that mean she's going to be okay for the rest of the time? No, because she is now being sent on this mission with Bernestra, which is ultimately going to put her in harm's way. And so you really don't know who's going to die and by whose hand. Is Osha going to kill May? We talked about, because remember I had said, oh, for a second I thought that oh shoot, I forgot his name. Chimere was suggesting that Osha kill May with the handing of the lightsaber. That ultimately didn't happen. But we have seen multiple times, whether that be in Legends, whether that be in video games, whether that be in comics and everything else, like attachments, they strengthen you and they don't strengthen you, and what does that mean? People find you weak because of love, and like all of these different things. And like, I could see a very dark path where Osha could cross the line, but at the same time I could see maybe Plagueis sees May as an obstacle, right? Or the Jedi in general. It's like, okay, well, if she's helping the Jedi, just get rid of May, and boom, there's no way that they can help her, or she can't help the Jedi any further.
Yeah.
It's it looks like for both roads, whether that be May or Osha, it doesn't end well.
It won't. The only question is how will their death affect other things in Star Wars? Particularly, does their death, hang on. You talked about this. I remember this. I don't remember which episode it was in. But you talked about, are May and Vernestra the virgins? Or did Matt talk about that? Did you talk about that?
No, so we questioned what the virgins was. Okay. And then so the thought came up. And you had said it was from Matt. And so we talked about it a little bit. We weren't entirely sure what that exactly means, if they were. So go ahead and continue.
So what if, because May and Osha, assumedly, were created with the virgins, what if the power of two being killed gives Plagueis or Palpatine the power to create Anakin?
It's something that I've thought about. Like, it's a weird, like, I want to make a comparison, but I don't know how to compare it to anything else. But just like you said, it's essentially the essence, that being the virgins, that is May or Osha, or the collective of both. Their force essence when they die, whatever it may be, whatever. We are literally making this up as we go because we aren't the ones writing the story. But basically think of it this way. Anakin is a Horcrux for May and Osha's soul. Like his soul is their soul. Like, oh, I don't know how many people would absolutely love that though. As soon as I started saying it, Anakin was never the special one. It was always May and Osha. And so technically, God, nope, I don't like it. Nope. No. Now again,
I'm just saying the power.
This is always gonna be part of the Skywalker saga, but now it's literally a part of the Skywalker saga because what you're saying is that Osha and May are Skywalkers.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the power that was used to create them. What if in their death, Plagueis is able to harness that power, not their soul, but the power, the force essence that's being released, and manipulate that to create Anakin.
I mean, it's the same thing, but yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I would love
the trolls won't think it's this.
See, and that's the thing, because the road that I went down is the road, and I was partly joking, but people will take it that seriously though. They'll be like, yes. Oh, Anakin is Osha, Anakin is May, like that's what you're saying. And so now you just ruined Anakin and the Skywalkers and blah, 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 blah. I think it's cool. I think that the weirder, and that's just been me. I talked about this when we went over our favorite episodes of Rebels, right?
Yeah.
The weirdest fantasy parts of Star Wars are my favorite parts. The Bendu. He's my favorite. He is almost my favorite character of Star Wars because he is so out there. You look at all of Star Wars, and then all of a sudden you have this giant freaking fantasy creature that looks like something from the Never-Ending Story. And it's like, yeah, he's there. That's awesome. Like, and I said, we need more of that. We're getting that in a different form here in the Acolyte. So I think it's cool.
Yeah. For sure. I think that's really all I had.
Yeah, I think that we broke this down very, very well. Jumped a little, all over the place when it comes to the song, not necessarily in order, but I thought this was a very fun thing. And I hope that we get to do it more, whether that
Yes.
be with music, whether that be with scenes from movies or whatever, or small little pieces of Star Wars related pop culture and things like that. I think it would be really, really fun. But yeah, that is going to be it for the show. A little bit shorter than what it has been recently, but that is sometimes a good thing. But guys, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. And of course, any and all places else when it comes to social media. Um, in the future, we at Ranger Alliance are going to be coming out with an episode next week, so go check that out. And I hopefully have some news. I'm still working on something, but go check that out next week on Monday. We do not have any shows for a while, so now it looks like we are just waiting on books and news. And like we said, San Diego Comic-Con is literally tomorrow. So there's going to be some news. We're going to be very, very excited for anything that comes out. But yeah, Katie, what about you? Where can people find you, and what's cooking for Star Wars Alliance?
Y'all, you can find me on most social media platforms. It is at Slice of Katie. This show you can find on Twitter. It is at Star Wars Alliance without the A in the wars. Very important. Don't forget it. The hotline and email you can find scrolling below if you're on YouTube. But if not, you can give us a you can leave us a voicemail or shoot us a text 830-538-4828. Once again, that's 830-538-4828. Or you can email us. It's the same username as our Twitter account. So Star Wars Alliance, all one word, no A in the wars @gmail.com. Next week we are going to be talking about San Diego Comic-Con. I'm assuming just publishing news, but if anything happens to drop in other cases, we'll talk about it. And then we will also be reviewing John Jackson Miller's A New Dawn. So that is the Rebels prequel novel that has Ray Sloan, as well as how Kanan and Hera meet. So with that, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you are listening or watching, and we will see y'all next time. May the Force be with you.